Good evening and thanks for joining us again. The NNPC went beyond its four walls to the larger society of sports gathering to showcase and exemplify performance excellence, which is the PEN of Malam Kyari's TAPE agenda, performance excellence. 48 medals to the good and top position of NOGIC 2020. It has an enduring perspective of fitness, sportsmanship, and competitive excellence of its human assets, which are, as far as material assets goes, the nation's depots and vandalized pipelines are assured for upgrade and repairs. GMD Mele Kyari speaks about stakeholdership by collaboration for security to keep these assets up and running. He also shared NNPC's perspective about how regional integration can unlock the nation's economic potentials. Message to the 41st Kaduna International Trade Fair: OPEC and its allies meet to stabilize global oil price. These are the defining boundaries of our stories, issues, and events. I'm Akin Agbejule. This is Oil and Gas Forum.
Let me commend the NNPC for expanding its exploration outreach into the inland basins with a view to improving the nation's oil and gas reserves, drive oil and gas production, and spin off socio-economic activities across the country.
NNPC Retail launches a range of superior quality engine oils for improved engine health, life, and efficiency. The NNPC lubricants, specifically formulated to give dependable all year-round engine protection, cleaner engines, oxidation resistance and discrepancy, turbocharged for high-grade performance, suited for motorcycles, automobiles, medium and heavy-duty stationary units. Buy NNPC lubricants, the energy to run for longer.
Nigeria's Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Chief Timipre Silva, joined other ministers of the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, defying the concerns about the coronavirus outbreak by holding crucial meetings in Vienna. The mere confirmation that the meetings will go ahead had rescued plunging of oil prices. Meanwhile, delegates from oil-producing countries arrived in Vienna to discuss output cuts in a meeting overshadowed by worries over the new coronavirus, both its effects on oil prices as well as on a big gathering like the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC. Two medical staff members wearing Red Cross vests were taking the temperature of ministers and other delegates entering OPEC. OPEC itself tweeted a video of Secretary General Mohammed Barkindo greeting Russian Energy Minister Alexander Novak by trying to touch their feet together in a foot shake, respecting coronavirus guidelines to avoid close body contact as much as possible. The media were barred from the building in an effort to keep participant numbers to a minimum. Cookies and sandwiches were served on the sidewalk outside the building instead of next to the press conference room, usually thronged by journalists. The OPEC extraordinary two-day meeting took place Thursday and Friday in the capital of Austria, which itself has recorded almost 30 cases of the new coronavirus. OPEC, led by Saudi Arabia and its allies in the so-called OPEC Plus group, foremost among them Russia, discussed how to halt the sharp fall in oil prices in the past 2 months as the epidemic has spread and global oil demand has slumped. At their last meeting in December, the producers agreed to cut production by 500,000 barrels per day, with Saudi Arabia offering a further 400,000 barrels of voluntary cuts. The cuts announced in December initially had the desired effect of an uptick in prices already under pressure at that point from abundant reserves and weak global growth, but the epidemic has since sent them plunging again.
By December last year, when we met as OPEC and non-OPEC, we didn't see coronavirus coming. Nobody foresaw coronavirus. It's not only affecting the oil sector and oil prices. Coronavirus is affecting everything. travel, shipping, it's affecting stocks, it's affecting everything. So we cannot despair because of the effect it's having on oil prices for now.
The federal government has assured the National Assembly of its readiness to continue to upgrade the nation's depots and repair vandalized pipelines to ensure steady supply of petroleum products across the country. The Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Chief Timi Presilva, accompanied by the Group Managing Director of the NNPC, Malam Mele Kyari, made this known where they led the Senate Joint Committee on Petroleum Resources Upstream, Downstream and Gas on a facility visit to the Atlas Cove depot. Chief Silva stated that the NNPC, through its downstream subsidiary, Nigerian Pipelines and Storage Company, NPSC, is working relentlessly to keep the depots and the pipelines on stream.
We all came here to see the facility, to see the work that you've done on the pipeline, but most importantly to thank you. I didn't come alone, we came the Senate committee is also here with me to acknowledge the great job you are doing. Please keep it up.
Speaking in a similar vein, Malam Kyari stated that the NNPC was collaborating with security agencies and all other relevant stakeholders to curtail the activities of pipeline vandals.
They have their challenges. We are supporting them by every means that is possible. But more importantly, we are very grateful for their commitment.
The lawmakers applauded the NNPC for its synergy with relevant security forces towards containing activities of pipeline vandals in the area, even as they commended the ongoing work towards capacity upgrade at the depot.
From what we gathered, you've brought down the wastage from about 30% to now about 10% or 5% thereabout. So next time we come, we expect 0%. I know you can do it.
The chairman, Senate Joint Committees on Petroleum, Senator Sabo Mohamed Nakudu, was accompanied by Senators Philip Aduda, Albert Bassi, James Manager, Ifan Yuba, and Gabriel Suswan.
Oil exploration in the Nasarawa zone of the Lower Benue Trough is set to resume any moment from now as part of the efforts to sustain ongoing search for commercial hydrocarbon deposits in the inland sedimentary basins. Group Managing Director of the Nigeria National Petroleum Corporation NNPC, Malam Mele Kyari, gave the hint while receiving an audience the Nasarawa State Governor, Engineer Abdullahi Sule, and some members of the House of Representatives from the state at the NNPC towers, describing Nasarawa State as an important stakeholder due to the large number of NNPC staff members who are resident in the state. Kyari said the corporation will continue to strengthen its corporate social responsibility initiatives in the area while calling on the state governor to provide required security cover for NNPC personnel and facilities.
The work that we are doing in Nasarawa State will continue to do them, and indeed we have seen very exemplary prospects that will translate into value in Nasarawa State. We are very hopeful and we think that we'll find oil in Nasarawa State.
Earlier in his presentation, the Nasarawa State Governor thanked the corporation for its decision to sustain the oil exploration efforts in the state, noting that the people of the state will provide the enabling environment to make the corporation succeed in its endeavor across the state.
Yes, it is going to be the asset of the NNPC, not Nasarawa State, but it's an activity in our own state. I'm here to assure you that at least you are going to have a good host and a good neighbor.
The Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Otumbaniyi Adebayo, has described the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, as the lifeblood of the nation, following the corporation's noticeable contribution to the growth and development of the country. The minister penned the kind remark at the opening ceremony of the just concluded 41st Kaduna International Trade Fair when he visited the NNPC pavilion. He noted that the NNPC, as the nation's national oil company, has recorded significant improvement in its operations across various locations, advising that the corporation should, quote, keep up with the improvements, end of quote.
As part of its avowed commitment to diversify its revenue flow and transform into an energy company of choice, the Nigeria National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC) has urged Nigerians to patronize its newly launched lubricants, NNPC Nitro range of engine oil for petrol-fired engines and the Rhino range for diesel-fired engines. Group Managing Director of the NNPC, Malam Mele Kyari, made this call during the NNPC Day at the 41st edition of the Kaduna International Trade Fair. Speaking on the theme of this year's trade fair, titled Unlocking Nigeria's Economic Potentials Through Regional Integration, NNPC's Perspective, Malam Kyari posited that the NNPC stands out as the chief enabler of the Nigerian economy through intervention in critical sectors of the economy. Represented by the Managing Director of the Kaduna Refining and Petrochemicals Company KRPC, Engineer Ezekiel Osarolube, Malam Kyari noted that apart from NNPC's fiduciary responsibility to the government and people, the corporation's approach through the years is to ensure value addition by increasing competitiveness in the global marketplace.
The decision to diversify into the power sector is hinged on the need to bridge the huge energy gap in the Nigerian market. The corporation is also engaged in development of renewable energy to over time create low carbon economy and link the oil and gas sector to the agricultural sector.
He maintained that the NNPC's ability to guarantee seamless nationwide supply and distribution of petroleum products has been enhanced with the introduction of some strategies aimed at boosting the operational efficiency of its downstream entities.
Construction work on the AK pipeline, which is designed to move gas to power industries in the northern corridor, is due to commence in the second quarter of this year.
Athletes representing the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC) saw off stiff competition from industry counterparts to emerge champions at the 2020 edition of the Nigeria Oil and Gas Industry Games (NOGIC), which came to a scintillating climax at the Teslim Balogun Stadium, Surulere, Lagos. To achieve the feat, the NNPC amassed 48 medals, including 13 gold, 16 silver and 19 bronze, to narrowly beat Shell to second position with 13 gold, 8 silver and 10 bronze for an haul of 31 medals. The Nigeria Liquefied Natural Gas Limited (NLNG) finished third with 23 medals, including 6 gold, 7 silver and 10 bronze, to complete the top 3 standing out of the 13 participating teams. Speaking shortly before performing the ceremonial kickoff for the final football match, Minister of State for Petroleum Chief Timi Pre-Silva said NOGIC over time had emerged as a veritable platform for healthy competition among the industry workforce, noting that government would continue to support such positive engagement.
Agility that I see and the competitiveness, the sense of competition that I see, which is good for the industry. We will go back to our workplaces healthier and very relaxed and entertained.
In his remarks, the Group Managing Director, GMD of NNPC, Malam Mele Kyari, assured guests that the corporation would continue to give attention to sporting activities in a bid to foster unity among the workers in the oil and gas industry.
I see this as an opportunity to well aware, to have some level of balance between work and life, and also as an opportunity for us to network with our colleagues across the industry to deliver value to the whole of this country.
The climax of the closing day of competition was the final of the football event, which saw NNPC football team beat the Department of Petroleum Resources DPR 2-0 in a pulsating encounter in the main bowl of the Teslim Balogun Stadium. Tagged celebrating champions in the oil and gas industry, NOGIC 2020 was attended by industry giants such as NNPC, Chevron, Petroleum Training Institute PTI, Department of Petroleum Resources DPR, ENI Ajip, ExxonMobil, Aeroton Exploration and Production, and Seplat. Others are Total, Nigeria Liquefied Natural Gas Limited (NLNG), and Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board NCDMB. Dignitaries at the closing ceremony included the representative of Lagos State Governor and the chairman Lagos State Sports Commission, Shola Ayekweku, and other captains of the oil and gas industry, among others.
Behind screams and tears of pain in some communities, there is a terrible act of pipeline vandalism, which causes fire outbreak and takes innocent lives. Pipeline vandalism also pollutes our waters and the fish we eat. Please join us to save lives and stop this crime. Warn or report those who vandalize our pipelines. The law will deal with them. NNPC, we touch your lives in many positive ways.
I work with Shell Petroleum Development Company of Nigeria Limited, SPDC. Currently, I work with Total E&P Nigeria Limited.
I'm a medical doctor working with the Federal Teaching Hospital, Gombe.
I'm a resident doctor in the Department of Surgery.
I am currently a resident doctor in radiology.
NNPC, we touch your lives in many positive ways.
Hello and welcome to the feedback segment of the program. My name is Julia Auta. The Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, and one of its downstream subsidiaries, NNPC Retail Limited, kept a date with history on the 28th February 2020 when they hit the lubricant market. The NNPC Nitro and Rhino engine oil have been launched for both petrol and diesel engines. On today's edition, the public bears their mind on the foray of the NNPC into the lubricants market.
NNPC is known for quality and is known for their leadership. So this is a big challenge to the lubes industry, because the expertise of the engineers in NNPC will come to play in this lubricant.
I'm proud as a Nigerian, that we have our product we can call our own now.
Our own is our own. This is made in Nigeria, and I believe to go a long way, because we believe in our own.
It's made by Nigerians for Nigerians, so it's better we patronize our own, owing to the government new policy of buy made in Nigeria.
It's expected to serve better in terms of quality and to serve better in terms of price.
People's minds will be tilted towards the new product.
It's good and it's great, and I believe that to an extent my money is coming back to Nigeria. That's my major pride.
Rhino and the Nitro NNPC lube is something, it's a welcome innovation. I described it as a colossal petrochemical ingenuity.
For healthy and long lifespan for your gasoline engines, NNPC Nitro and NNPC Rhino remains your best options. Thanks for watching.
Hello, good to have you join us again on yet another informative segment of the program. My name is Faith Ayuba. Did you know that Saudi Arabia's Ghawar oil field contains about 85 billion barrels of oil, which is the world's largest? Did you know that the ExxonMobil refinery in Baytown, Texas, is the largest capacity refinery in the US with 560,640 barrels per day capacity? Did you know that the largest oil field in the United States is Prudhoe Bay, Alaska, which covers 213,453 acres and originally contained 25 billion barrels of oil? Did you know that Canada has the third largest crude oil reserves, 97% of which are in oil sands? Did you also know that the United States has over 200,000 miles of oil pipelines within its borders? Now you know. Don't go away. Global Crude Oil Outlook is next.
Hello and welcome to Global Crude Oil Outlook. Brent slid to its biggest daily loss in more than 11 years after discussions between OPEC and OPEC Plus could not reach an agreement over proposed steep production cuts to stabilize prices hit by economic fallout from the coronavirus, and OPEC responded by removing limits on its own production. Brent futures had their biggest daily percentage fall since December 2008, down $4.72 or 9.4% to settle at $45.27 per barrel. It was Brent's lowest closing price since June 2017. US West Texas Intermediate WTI crude dropped $4.62 or 10.1% to $41.28. Its lowest close since August 2016 and the largest daily percentage loss since November 2014. Both Brent and WTI are down over 30% so far this year. Business districts began to empty and stock markets tumbled. OPEC was pushing for an additional 1.5 million barrels per day of cuts until the end of 2020. Non-OPEC states were expected to contribute 500,000 barrels per day to the overall extra cut, OPEC ministers said. The new deal would have meant OPEC Plus production curbs amounting to a total of 3.6 million barrels per day, or about 3.6% of global supply.
We decided to adjourn this physical meeting, but to continue the consultations.
Thanks for watching. I am Owigo Okolo.
As you all know, NNPC is an enabler for the nation's economy, and as well as it is encapsulated in your mission, which is to add value to the nation's hydrocarbon resources for the benefit of all Nigerians and other stakeholders. We have seen this mission reflected in the recent discovery of crude oil and gas in the Coleman River 2 well on the Upper Benue Trail, Gongola Basin.
My brother, my sister, make we join the hand to stop pipeline of vandalization. When no they allow government to build the road, hospital, provide light, build the school, and make Nigeria be like big country. Make we dey fight the pipeline of vandalization. Make our country come better for we and we children. Now me and you go stop this wahala. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Make our country come better for we and we children. Make we dey fight this yama yama, fight this yama yama. Make our country come better for we and we children.
This message now from Public Affairs Division of NNPC.
That's been the program for this edition. Thanks for joining us. Takeaway for this edition is the upgrade of depots and pipelines across the country. Keep stable and keep alive, and keep the day.